How's it going, everyone? What's going on in your life? My name is Ewonopolis, and in today's video I just wanted to talk about the upcoming Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Assassin's Creed is a series that I've really enjoyed for a long time, although I haven't really played any of them since Unity. I bought Origins, played it a little bit, but I decided to pick up Odyssey just to see where the series was at. So that's the gameplay that you're watching in the background now, is some Odyssey, because the game went on a crazy sale, the gold edition, for like 30 bucks, which is insane. It's usually like $130, so it's a really good deal. I'm already getting off topic. I'm not good at this, am I? So yeah, I've been playing Odyssey a fair bit. I mainly bought it actually just to see where the series was standing, because I for sure am going to be buying Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I'll explain to you why right now. The Viking Age and anything like Nordic like that is something that I absolutely love. Vikings is a fantastic show. Don't spoil anything. I'm only on the first season. Anything where it's sort of like Nordic, sort of snowy stuff, I'm so into that. And the screenshots and some of what we've seen of Valhalla so far just looks so damn good and right up my alley. Skyrim's my favorite game of all time, and that's a big reason why, is just the landscape that it's in, and the fact that we're getting a new modern game in that setting is so exciting to me. So I want to talk about what I hope to see in the game, my expectations, what I'm hoping they can improve from Odyssey, and just in general, my dream for what Valhalla is going to be. So I think I'll start off talking about the combat. So combat in Assassin's Creed, obviously it's a huge part of the series. It's very important that they do the combat in a way that feels good to the player, flows well, and just makes sense. And that's one of my biggest complaints with Odyssey, is I don't think the combat is good. And I could talk for a long time about that, but I won't really go into too much detail right now. I'm not really into the enemy is a damage sponge combat system. When it's a game that's supposed to kind of put you into a world, it's really hard to get immersed in something, at least for me, when I've stabbed an enemy in the face 8 times and he's still functioning normally. That's a weird thing to me. And as far as I know, from what I understand, they are bringing back sort of the one-hit kill combat mechanic from the older Assassin's Creed games. And this doesn't mean that you're just going to be able to walk up to an enemy, press the attack button one time and they die. What I'm hoping it means, and what it probably does mean, is similar to, I think Assassin's Creed 3 might have been the last one to have that. Black Flag might have. I didn't really play Black Flag, so I don't remember. I do know that in Assassin's Creed 3, for example, if you parry an attack and then press the attack button, you'll pretty much instantly kill most enemies. That's just how that tends to work. And I'm hoping that that's the kind of combat system that we have in Valhalla, because to me, yeah, it's easier, but that's not really why I want it. It's just more immersive and it's more realistic. It looks better, it flows better as a game that's supposed to put you into a time period. So I know not everyone loved Assassin's Creed 3. I really enjoy it. It was the first M-rated game I ever got to play when I was younger, so it's a nostalgic game for me. I like it. I digress. I would love to see that combat system come back. I think that's a fantastic way of doing it. Now, I will mention as well that when I was watching a video where someone was talking about the combat system that was returning, they only mentioned the hidden blade. So I don't know if this is going to apply to every type of weapon in the game, or if it's just the hidden blade that's going to be one-hit kill. I think it would be kind of weird to have one weapon be one-hit kill, especially when it's that tiny blade, but then if you have this huge sword, enemies are just going to be soaking up damage. Yeah, I'm hoping that the combat gets simplified again. Not necessarily, okay, I shouldn't put it like that, not necessarily simplified, but going back to the roots of that one-hit kill mechanic, which I think works better for this style of game, and is one of my biggest complaints with Odyssey. It's probably my biggest complaint with the game is the combat system, so I'm hoping that they do change that quite significantly and in an effective way. Another cool thing that's making a return in Assassin's Creed Valhalla is social stealth, which if you're only playing the newer Assassin's Creed games, you probably don't even know about this mechanic. But there was something in the older Assassin's Creed games where if you went into a crowd, you would blend in, and that's been missing from the most recent entries. So you were able to hide from enemies or hide from combat by standing in a crowd or blending into different things. Like I remember in Assassin's Creed 3, you could sit on a bench, which was kind of silly, to be fair, to just sit on a bench and then enemies would run past you. Still cool though. Maybe not necessarily that silly. But yeah, I'm glad that we're going to be able to blend into crowds again. That's a mechanic that actually makes quite a big difference, and I'm excited to see its return and how they implement that in this game. So here's another section where I think they can certainly make some improvements. As I said, I've been playing Odyssey a fair bit. I only bought it about 2 days ago, I think. And I've played it a good bit, and to be fair, I have not played through the entire story. I don't think I'm even close. But I don't think the story is very interesting. The game is very fun. The game is fun to play. It's satisfying, but I don't think the actual story content is a very compelling story. It's pretty generic. And I really hope that they can make a great story with Valhalla that is interesting, with really interesting characters and cool, character interactions and plot twists and things you don't see coming. I'd just like to see a more laid out story, and again, I haven't played through all of Odyssey's story, so maybe it gets better. I don't know. So far, it's just not that intriguing. So I'm really hoping that Valhalla does, especially because the Viking Age is something that I have so much interest in. So being able to get immersed into a story and control it myself would be amazing to me. I mean, that's obviously what we want in any game, and that's not exclusive to me, but I'm just saying, since I love this sort of setting so much, I'm just really hoping that the story is well done. Another thing that I've noticed while playing Odyssey is the pacing of the game. The game is very fast-paced. The developers seem to constantly be throwing things at you with bounty hunters and mercenaries and enemy camps, and just you're constantly berated with things going on, and I don't think that's really necessary. I think that it would be really good if they could just take a step back and slow it down for a more realistic, more immersive experience. And I could be saying this just because I've been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2, and that's, to me, that game is a game to measure other open worlds against, even though the mission design is very linear and things like that. Again, I digress. I tend to go off topic, my bad. Yeah, I think that if they were to just take a second, breathe, you can slow down the pace. It's not going to upset anyone if we're not constantly having things come at us. It's even when you're out in the wilderness where there are no enemies, or there shouldn't be any enemies, all of a sudden a wolf will just come out of nowhere and attack you, and it's really weird. I don't think wildlife should behave like that, and that's something that annoys me in Skyrim too. If you're going through the wilderness, there's a 0% chance that every wolf you come across is going to attack you. And then the way they attack you, they're like dodging and doing combat moves. It's really weird, and that takes me right out of the game when stuff like that happens. It doesn't make it feel like I'm in a world. It feels like I'm playing a video game. And when I'm playing a game like this, I want to feel like I'm in the world. And I think just slowing down the pace a little bit and not constantly feeling like they need to throw things our way and have things happen. You can have interesting worlds without having a constant threat, if that makes any sense. Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is I just want the game to feel more grounded, because I feel like Odyssey and Origins, I did play a little bit of Origins, I feel like those two games sort of have this cartoony aspect to them, especially when you look at the combat. It does look silly, with your sword will have a trail of light behind it sometimes, and enemies light up red and then charge at you. There's some cartoony aspect to that, and I don't think that's necessary to have. I might be in the minority there, I don't know. This might just be the style of Assassin's Creed, but that wasn't always in the series, so I don't really think you can make that argument. I I think that they should just try to make this more grounded, more realistic, less cartoony, slow it down a little bit, focus on the story and your characters, and I think that they could really have a phenomenal game, especially because it's going to be launching with the next generation consoles, and now I'm going to talk about that. So obviously with this new generation of home gaming consoles, we're going to have a lot of potential for new mechanics, fantastic looking games, bigger worlds, more going on, and just improved everything in gaming, and that's really exciting. And I think that Ubisoft should take advantage of that here. One thing I will say is I don't think we should ever be seeing 30 frames per second on these new consoles, and I know we will. I know that we're going to see 30 frames per second, but we shouldn't see 30 frames per second. We're in 2020. The consoles are going to be releasing at the end of 2020. We shouldn't be seeing anything below 60 anymore. I have a PC and the parts are a few years old at this point. It's not a very powerful PC, but it still manages to play games at 60 frames per second. And I wouldn't be surprised if these new gaming consoles were more powerful than my PC. So I hope that Assassin's Creed Valhalla, this would be a first. I hope we get to see it run at 60 frames per second. I'm not saying that necessarily needs to happen on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, it would be fantastic if we could actually see the games running at 60 frames per second. I mean, the Gold Edition of Odyssey came with Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, and not even that runs at 60 frames per second. Assassin's Creed 3, the remaster doesn't even look as good as the original game, and you can't get modern gaming systems to run a game that came out in, I think, 2012 or 2013 to run at 60 frames per second. I think we can do a little bit better than this, so I'm really hoping at least on the next generation consoles. I'm not expecting this to happen on current gen, but please on the next gen consoles, can we see better performance than we've seen? Assassin's Creed games have always been notoriously poorly optimized. I mean, look at Unity on PC, that was a train wreck. So I hope that they can improve on the optimization, and I think it's time. I think we're ready for 60 frames per second. I also hope that Sony comes out and says that they're doing a system similar to the smart delivery system that Microsoft has with the Xbox, which is, to me, absolutely a fantastic system. Because if the game comes out before the new consoles launch and we buy it on current generation consoles, we don't want to have to buy it a second time. I know the company wants us to buy it again, but we don't want to have to do that. We want to buy the game once and be able to play the game on the platform that we want to play it on. I mean, people were happy to purchase games over and over again, and to be fair, people will. But it would just be so much better if we didn't have to. So if Sony implements something like that, that would be fantastic. I hope to see that be a part of Assassin's Creed. And for people who buy the game on their current generation consoles and don't necessarily want to get a next gen console right when the consoles come out, maybe they want to wait a little while, maybe there's limited stock, and they just don't want to have to purchase the game twice. I don't think that's unfair. I think that's a pretty fair thing to ask for. I will say, I was talking earlier about the pace. I do really enjoy those camps that you can find where they're like, you get to complete the locations. Those are really fun, and I hope that they keep those and implement them. I really hope that this is a packed open world. I know they said that the game isn't going to be as long and the map isn't going to be as large as Odyssey, which is absolutely fine because the map in Odyssey is ridiculously large, and the game apparently is fairly long. I've heard that it's kind of padded, so I don't mind that the game is sort of smaller, but it doesn't necessarily have to feel smaller. If you put a lot of really interesting side quests into the open world, because I feel like the side quests in Odyssey, it's just a lot of busy work. It's kind of like, go here, get this for me, kill these guys, bring it back to me. That's what most of the side quests and a lot of the main missions actually for Odyssey are. There's a lot of kind of go and retrieve this for me, or go check this spot out. A lot of busy work, and I'm hoping that's not in Valhalla as much. I hope that the side quests are a little more interesting and in-depth, but I think that you could really fill up an open world in this landscape with some really interesting stories and some very, very cool discoveries and locations to uncover. So I think if they fill this open world up, No one's going to care if the world is smaller or if the story is shorter or anything like that. We just want an interesting game. That's all I want. I guess that's about all I have to say for now. I might make more videos about Valhalla as we get more information on it. I'm super excited. I really, really hope that they release some actual gameplay soon. That wasn't gameplay that they showed us. They said we were getting gameplay, and we didn't get any. And I know someone on Twitter said that it wasn't actual gameplay footage, but that was the impression that we were given. So we were kind of misled there, and that was disappointing. So I'm hoping that soon we get some Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay to see the game in action, which I'm super excited to see. I can't wait for Valhalla. What do you think of the game? Do you like Assassin's Creed? I know some people really don't like the games. I know some people are diehard fans of the games. I've kind of jumped in and out of it for a few years, hopping back every now and again just to see where the series is at. And I tend to like Assassin's Creed games. They are fun. And I'm really hope this one has the potential to be my favorite Assassin's Creed game, just because it's Nordic and Vikings. So I'm so damn excited. If it launches alongside the next generation consoles, I'm probably just gonna pre-order a bundle, because that's probably the title that I'm most excited for that's going to be out at that time, along with Cyberpunk. That game looks pretty awesome, but that's coming out before the next gen consoles are released, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, all right. Thank you all for listening to me ramble for almost 17 minutes. Well, it's going to be more than that by the time I'm done. Good lord. All right. Thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed this video just as much as I did. I hope to see you all in the next one. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, share it around. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Stay safe. Peace.